big, huge box. I got all of my William Dab seeds in. And so this is the majority of the farm in this box. This is the majority of the vegetables that I have. Or that I will be growing this year. I am a little bit I'm a little bit limited for time tonight. Ian said you do not have time to go 2 hours. But there's a lot of seeds in here. So my plan right now is that I'm gonna go through it. I'm gonna talk about it, but I'm probably gonna break this into 2 parts. Because I would rather take the time and give you guys details about the things that I have in here, because there's a lot of stuff that I'm really excited about in here. Lots of, there's some stuff that are the things that I really like to grow every year, and then there's some stuff in here that I'm really excited to experiment with this coming up season for the first time. So I do want to give you guys the details. So I'm gonna assume this is gonna be part 1 of a 2-parter. I was outside. I don't know if you guys got all mixed up with the time change. I didn't have to do anything today, so it wasn't like I was showing up anywhere early because of time change. But I was outside, so bright out and everything. And going along, working. I'm doing a lot of seed starting right now. It's mid-March, so my hot peppers, my sweet peppers, my tomatoes, my eggplants, all of that. This is the time. This is actually the time for everything. So it really is starting to be busy time on the farm. But yeah, so I was working away, not thinking anything of it, and then I realized it's almost time for this live video. So I was pretty surprised how bright out it was with time change. They're one of those things. They're one of those things that I'm not a super big fan of. I washed my hands. I literally had enough time to wash my hands. I got myself a glass of water, got my phone clip, and I put some cream on. So I'm just rubbing this in, and then we'll grab these bags. We'll get right to it. This very rarely happens that we get right to it, but we're gonna try today. I don't know, my phone. I have my phone kind of angled. I don't know if it's bouncing because it doesn't like my background. I need to get closer. Okay. Oh, look, I was just about to say, oh yeah, look at that. The seed starting pack. I like it. Because I might not have pictures, but I have my last year's just conveniently sitting on the table behind me. I have last year's William Dab Seeds catalog, so I might use that to see if I have anything to look up. Okay, let's get to it. So I've gone through this box and I've sorted it because for the life of me I can't remember what I had in here. So what I'm going to start with is all of my big pack things. So it's not the most organized way to talk about what's in here. But I think I can make it make sense, even with the only talking about half of it tonight. But this is like a standalone category. What this is, yeah, don't have 2 hours. I know you guys watch this because I see the analytics, and some of you guys actually stick around for 2 hours. But, I do agree with Ian. 1 hour is a lot more manageable time chunk to listen to me rant on about seeds. Okay, so this is, put it even with my face. This is the Beet variety that I am growing for this year. I struggle with beets. I'm pretty sure that beets are something that I could make some money on. You guys, my glasses are so dirty. I'm trying to see. I have this to clean my lens, but these glasses are so dirty. I can't see anything. I should maybe just take these off. Time check me. Honestly, the time's actually really, really visible. The little countdown, it's large, right? YouTube also is hey, Serena, you probably shouldn't talk for 4 hours straight. But they are helpful to like be like, hey, remember when you said you're only going to be an hour, and it's an hour now, so you should wrap it up. But Ian also time checks me. He's like, hey, get off the live video, come down here. Yeah. Okay, let's get to it. Beets. Okay, so this variety of beet here. So I'm trying to cover my face to show you guys. I don't know, is it? I think this one's called Kestrel. Um, so my issue with beets is that they don't grow super great for me. Beets are they need lots of boron, and our soil has not great boron amounts. And then what I ideally want to do with almost all of my crops is that I want to direct seed them. I want to take my seeder, and I want to like just pour a bucket of seeds in, run my seeder through the garden, and then not have to go back and thin, right? Like it may for on the farm scale, it would make more sense for me to grow transplants of beets, and then to have to plant out beets from like a transplant, like little plug, then it would for me to go with a seeder and like hand thin crops. Yeah, no monkeys today, hopefully. um, so the beets, I've been struggling because my soil isn't that great for them. And then I've also been struggling because I've been trying to figure out how to grow them without having with allowing them to get big. The first year that we grew them, right? So this year we're going into our third year. So the first year I was like, beets, we gotta have beets, because they do well. So the first year I planned on selling baby beets. The plan was they were going to be these small little beets, because those are my favorite and they're fancy, and you can't buy them anywhere except for, at a farmer's market because they're fancy. They did not sell at all. The thing that made me be like, okay, beets, I need to do something completely different. This woman came up to me with this like oversized beet. It was like a bunch of like three like big, massive, like softball sized beets. And then I had these like really generous bunches of beets. It was like a big bunch of baby beets. And she came up to me with these like big oversized beets. I guess maybe it was only two, because they were big. They were overgrown. They were like of the size that I would have been like, I'm not bringing these to market. They're too big. No one wants this. This is like feed it to the pig size. Yeah, so she comes up and she's like, look at this. Look at this deal I got. She's like, yeah, I paid $5 for this. Yeah, woody beets, exactly. You'd think they'd be woody. Yeah, so she came up and she was bragging to me that the beets that she bought were like a way better deal than the beets I had. And so our bunches of beets are $3 or two for five. And it was like this big, generous baby beet bunch. And she was bragging to me that she paid more money for something I considered a cull. And so I was like, okay, apparently the people who buy beets here they want larger beets. And no one at the market brings like the baby beets, right? Anytime we've sold beets well, it's like because we've had some bigger ones, and then they sell, and when it's only baby beets left, then they stop selling. So no one wants little beets. So year two, I did better. I spaced them a little bit better. And so the problem with beets too is like, so a beet seed is actually a cluster of seeds, right? So when you have a beet, you can put in just like, if you put one seed into the ground, it could potentially grow 3 beets. So the spacing is really difficult, right? Because you drop too many seeds and you could just have like this insane number of beets. And so I think last year what I did is I used my earthway seeder and I covered up a bunch of holes. So it dropped way less seeds, but it still dropped multiple seeds every time it dropped a seed. And so it created this like clump. And then a lot of them just weren't able to get big enough. So still, again, I'm not doing the right thing. But I've been over those 2 years I was experimenting with varieties, because I have this issue of the beets not growing very well because of my soil. And so this is one. It's called Kestrel. um I don't really ever hear people talking about this one. um but this one has done really well for me. The tops are pretty, which I want because I sell them with the tops on. And the flavor's really nice on this. Um, so I'm going for Kestrel again. I'm not doing any more experiments. The last 2 years, I've been buying small packs. And then doing like a bed, seeing how that does, doing another bed of a different variety, seeing how that does. And I'm kind of like, okay, I think Kestrel's the one. But I still have issues with beets. And I really don't like, a lot of people around here, they do transplant. They grow them in a seedling tray and then they transplant them. And I really don't want to do that. But if I have to, with having an employee to like lighten the seedling transplanting load, that is an option for this year. I don't want to do it. So I'm gonna plant some of these this week. This bag has 25,000, and I think this should give me a bunch. Golden beets. Golden beets are like super hard to grow for me personally. And as I was saying, I have a hard time with beets. Around here, they sell really well. People want to buy them because people don't like cooking the red beets because they stain so much. So people like the golden beets because they're easier on your kitchen, right? The cleanup is easier. And another thing about beets, we grow beets. I think that it's valuable for us to have beets. I want to figure out beets. I think they're a good crop. But one of the things that I really am doubling down on more and more, which is like one of the concepts that we like built the farm on, is the idea that, yeah, the Chicogia, like the stripy ones, I don't like the flavor on them. I find they're not super sweet. But okay, yeah. So the plan is, the things that you don't have to cook are the things that sell the best, right? And like it sells for the most money and it sells the easiest, right? So carrots, you don't have to cook carrots. They sell infinitely better than beets. Lettuce, like salad greens, all that stuff, it sells super, super good because, and people say it to me, right? Especially like the bagged greens where, they don't have to chop it up and like mix it and everything. People are like, oh, when I get home from work and it was like so busy, I can just like put together a quick salad and eat that for dinner. So it has value to people in the way that like convenience food has value to people, all these veggies that you can eat raw. So I want beets, but I'm also, it's, if I don't have beets, it's not a make it or break it. Like if I mess up on carrots or if I mess up on salad greens. Which leads in very nicely to the next, main category of these like oversized bags that I have. All these like farmer sized. Okay, guys, I love anytime I get it in these like oversized bags. It just makes me so happy. And I love it when I'm like buying it like by weight, right? So this is like 100 grams. And at this point, because I've done it for a few years now, I know that 100 grams, this is like enough seed to do like a couple beds, right? Because I plant, this is lettuce, this is like a lettuce mix, and this I plant it like super densely, and on my 30-inch beds I'll put like 7 rows, 9 rows, like just crazy amount of seeds that I'm putting into the ground. So these bags, they're massive. A home garden, you'd have a pinch, right? Like a pack would have a pinch and it would grow so much lettuce. But when you're doing like the baby greens, it ends up dumping a lot of seed when you get going with those seeders. Okay, so because I'm pulling out the greens here, the plan for this year, because I have a lot of these like baby greens and we're going a lot harder on this stuff this year. whereas we've never really done much with this before. All of our lettuce mix, all of our like our bagged salad mix type stuff so far has been only here, put this down. It's been only the head lettuce. It's been like the Salanova lettuce mostly that we then cut and then mix. Or even like we grow a full head, we rip the head out, we cut the whole head up into and wash it so that when we wash it we mix it. Though anytime you buy my lettuce, if please still wash your salad mix. I do wash everything, but it's like to get dirt off. It's not for food safety reasons. Because I get paranoid, you hear those stories about like all the contaminants in salad, and I'm like, oh, salad stresses me out. Okay. So as I was saying, the stuff that you don't have to cook does really well. We've been mostly doing these head lettuces into salad mix. We have like a system for like washing it. We bought like a big kitchen size salad spinner. We've gotten to the point that the process of it was, somewhat doable. We're hoping this year at some point we're going to upgrade. We're going to build this actual mechanical salad spinner, right? So you like wash it in this like big, huge sink. And then you put it into this mechanical salad spinner and it spins it out. But so we're going to try baby greens, right? So because when I do the Salanova, it's not actually a baby green, right? I'm growing it as a plug. Oh, and when I say Salanova, what I'm saying is it's a brand name of lettuce. That's a really good baby leafed lettuce, even when it's a full grown head. And that's the reason why it works so well for doing this like salad mix. Whereas when you do baby greens, so the Salanova, it looks like a baby green, but it actually is, that's just what the full grown lettuce leaf looks like. And you can pick a smaller, but it just never gets, instead of getting big, it just gets denser. But baby greens, right? So this, which I'm going to grow for a baby green, this is literally going to be cut as a baby. So I'm gonna plant the seed. I'm gonna have all these lettuce seeds going in. It's gonna be super, super tight, right? It's gonna be just a mass of seeds in the bed, and it's gonna come up, and it's gonna be like, they're gonna be so tight and crammed in together that they're never even gonna really be able to get bigger than just like the little baby leaves. And then we bought a tool. So the reason why we didn't want to do this is harvesting baby greens is really, really difficult, because you basically have to go and you have to like cut it, and it's only this big, so you have to like cut it and like grab it. It's a pain, right? It's faster to do these Salanova heads. So what we did is we bought a tool. It's called the quick cut harvester, I think. Is that right? Like we got it from Farmer's Friend. Pretty sure we got it from Dubois Egg. And so what it is, they look super cool. It's like a spinning mop head. It's like this like rope head that spins, and like a like blade. I don't know, what are those? Like almost like a reciprocating saw. So it's like a reciprocating saw with like this like rope head, and you run it with a drill, and then it has like a bag, and then the bag is almost like a lawnmower bag, right? And so the idea is that it's like it's sawing, and I don't know, I don't even know how I can. Okay, so it's like it's sawing through the lettuce, right? So like here's this is like the worst explanation of how this this tool works ever. Okay, but so here's all the lettuce, right? So it's like, and it's sawing, and then it cuts it, and then instead of it like just flying everywhere because it's cutting it, the rope mop is like hitting it, and then it's pushing it into the lawnmower bag. And so it's like, and then it just like it mows it down, right? So you're just like you have to bend over because it's like they're literally this tall. But it's like super fast, super quick cut harvester. And so we invested in the tool. You know, the tool's expensive because everything's expensive in Canada. You know, $1,000 every tool in Canada, $1,000. But we bought it. We have it. So now we're going to be giving it a go on these baby greens. We're still going to be having like the head lettuce, which we can sell as heads, right? Because ideally, personally, we would like to sell a head lettuce more than we would like to sell a bag of salad greens, because head lettuce is waste free, right? There's no plastic in head lettuce, but we also want to make money, and so the bagged greens were such a big seller, and so last year because so I wanted to get into more of these smaller greens, right? Because some of these baby greens are just so tasty. And they're so versatile for like cooking with, like a baby kale. You know, mustards. I love mustards. Baby mustards used as like, you know, you can cook them or you can eat them raw. I really like them. So we were like, okay, we're gonna grow some of these, but we are going to not bag them. We're gonna let them get big enough, you know, instead of like picking them at like 2-3 inches, we're gonna grow them to like 4 or 5 inches, and then we're gonna clump them and we're gonna bunch them with an elastic, kind of like when you get bunches of spinach in the grocery store, how it's bunched, you know, instead of, you know, boxes of like spinach, baby spinach greens, right? So we're like, maybe we can sell this stuff like this and not be using the plastic bags. And the takeaway was that no one wants that. We had an entire bed of red Russian kale, and like every week I picked like 50 bunches, and it was so good. It was so tasty. The red Russian kale, the baby red Russian kale, when it was like cooked, it almost had like seafood flavors. Like we were cooking it a bunch with like butter, and then having like poached eggs on top, and it was like so good. It was so tasty, and like, you know, people were buying all these big kales, and I'm like, you guys, this kale, this is what's really tasty, and you get like way more. But yeah, we couldn't do anything. Okay, I see someone saying which comments would be on. There is comments. You know, for people who don't come to this, I see what you guys are saying, but it makes a better video if I don't just like randomly try to answer all your comments. So I usually I see them and I look back at them when the video is done for anything that I don't see, but I usually don't try to address comments too much, because I'd rather make the video interesting and watchable. And then also, because this is the best opportunity to explain comments on the channel in general. So YouTube has our comments on our videos disabled, and the comments, yeah, so they're turned off on there. We can't turn them back on, but we love hearing from you guys, and so we found a workaround. We make community posts for every single one of our videos, and the function of that, more so than us trying to get people to use community posts to see our videos, because that's, you know, there's no community posts don't work really that way. So we always make a post about the video so that there's a spot for comments, right? The idea is that you guys, if you have a question or if you have a comment from the video, we try to always have it, so like as soon as it comes on, it's there, it's available. And all of that we see 100%. If you comment and then your comment won't show up, and that's because we have to, on the community post, we have to approve every single comment. So, you know, sometimes it takes a couple days, but if your comment shows up, right, like, then it means that we've seen it. We don't always have the time to get back to it, but we try, if it's like a question that, you know, makes sense to to answer for you guys, we try to answer them and everything. But yeah, so we love hearing from you. And then also in the description of every single video, including these videos, it's just like a generic thing that I always have in there. If you do the drop down, you'll get all of our other links, right? Because we're on Facebook and we're on Instagram, and there's comments there. So, you know, take that opportunity to to explain that, right? Because that's makes it difficult. Tomatoes, we are starting now. That's why I only have an hour. I have to go and I have to put my kids to bed and then I have to go and I have to start all of my tomatoes. Oh, thank you. Thanks for putting the links up there. Okay. So last year, baby greens as bunches didn't work, but now we have the tool, right? So now we have this quick cut harvester so that we can experiment more with these baby greens. I'm gonna suck it up. I'm gonna use more plastic. My workaround is originally we bought these plastic bags that have like a zipper top. And I was like, then people can reuse it. But no one, obviously, who's buying like salad mix is reusing them. I was reusing them anytime they didn't sell. I was like emptying it out, and I was like, yay! Now I have like a freezer bag. But I can't reuse them for selling. They basically had to then become my own personal bags for food safety reasons. So this instead I'm like, okay, ditch the zipper bags. There's too much plastic in the zipper bags. I got like the thinnest plastic that I could get. So it uses less plastic. And yeah, I need to make money. So, I'm doing, it's what people want. Once we have a farm stand, it's always going to be like kind of, we need these bags for going down to the market. Because we can't really, it's just, there's a lot of food safety concerns for doing like the loose greens, but I'm sure we can probably figure out a solution with the farm stand for having bulk greens, right? We'll have a scale in the farm stand. It'll be like manned like a grocery store. So having bulk greens, then people can bring their own containers is definitely something that, we can think about for into the future. Um, but it is what it is. Okay, so I already on hand have a ton of mustard. I bought like a million different mustards to do like a mustard green mix. So I'm really excited about that. There is like a few things that was on my Johnny's seed video that I did that were mustards that I'm like gonna add in, as well as like this incredible kale. There's this kale that's gonna make the best baby green ever. And then I have some of this already. This is Bon Vivant salad mix. And so it's a mix of hot weather lettuce types. So this is more of like an all season salad mix, and it's only lettuce. This mix. Right? So I have this to do baby lettuce. But then there's some other stuff in here that I'm really excited about. So I have Swiss chard, and this is gonna be like same idea as like the greens, very, very densely planted, right? We do Swiss chard to be bigger leaves. We grow bright lights, which I think we have in the seed pack. Yeah, the KX1 kale. Yeah. I'm just like, that might be one of the things I'm the most excited about for this year. Sorry guys. So what I have, so I got some kales, or the kale in the mind. I got Swiss chard to do for baby greens. Swiss chard is the same family as beets. So Swiss chard is kind of like, imagine the best beet green in the entire world, and that is what Swiss chard is. So it makes a really nice like baby green. Swiss chard is nice because you can eat it raw and then you can also cook with it. So a lot of like my earlier season baby greens are gonna be, stuff where I can have it in like a salad mix, but I can also have it in like a braising mix or a stir fry mix type thing. But yeah, so I bought these. Here, let's cover my face. So a red one and a green one. And then I'll have some of this. I'm really excited for this. Here, let's see it. So I got Lucillus, that's a green one. It says light green, slightly savoyed leaves with rounded stalks. Dutch variety, noted for flavor. And then rhubarb chard, dark green, crumpled leaves with a crimson stalk and veins that are sweet in flavor. So these, I've never tried these before. But I'm excited. I think they're going to be tasty. And the Swiss chard, the nice thing about the Swiss chard is it's pretty heat tolerant. So stuff like spinach here. So I have no spinach. I was supposed to have spinach in this order. But for the life of me, I cannot figure out how to grow spinach here because we go from like, oh, it's a nice spring to like, oh, it's hot. It's like very hot. And spinach just instantly goes to seed on me. I've planted beds of spinach multiple times, over the last couple of years, and I've never been able to sell any spinach. It always goes to seed, like in a day. Like I go to bed and I wake up and it's gone to seed, and then I end up just like eating it. Even in the fall, right? Like, so our issue is a lot of these things they say are good in the fall. We have beautiful, beautiful falls. Our Septembers are very hot still. The nights, the days are shorter, so the nights start to get a little bit cooler, but we still get very high temperatures in September. So, it's hard because you need, some time to grow the stuff. But September's still too hot. And then our frost usually hits mid-October, right? So it's not like a lot of stuff, if I try to plant it in October, I don't have enough daylight hours and I don't have enough time to get a harvest for like the things that don't like the heat, but then the September is so hot during the day. So I don't know. Eventually I'll figure it all out. Yeah, and shade cloth. We are this year, the plan is because so we have 2 hoop houses where the plastic is like, they're basically shade houses because the plastic is so old and bad. And then we have 2 brand new high tunnels coming. And so the plan is that the 2 with the bad plastic are going to get converted into shade houses. We're going to buy shade cloth. And then we can do greens in them in the summer to help with all that heat stuff. But like spinach, spinach is so fussy. I'm kind of like, I can specialize in other stuff. Someone else can do spinach. Okay, so another one of these greens. This is Vats. This is a green kale. And I bought this because I have Red Russian to do as a baby green. I still have I bought a bag this big and I used, I only ever planted one bed, so I'm drowning in it still. And then I bought that KX from Johnny's, which is so beautiful. But I was like, oh, it's gonna look good. But if I'm gonna do a kale mix, it's don't really have anything like green. You get a bunch of green. And green's my favorite color. I'm obsessed with green, which is probably why I like the veggies more than I like the flowers, because I'm like, they're so green and beautiful. But so I was like, Vats would probably look really nicely in a kale mix. So I got a big bag of this to be able to add in for doing kale mix stuff. And then I think that's it. I think that's it for the greens that I have. And like I said, I have a bunch of mustard still, right? So I have the Red Russian, which is going to be part of our baby green lineup. And I have all these super cool mustards. I was supposed to get spinach. The spinach I was gonna get was on back order, and I told William Dam just send it, whatever, anything that I don't have, I don't need. Maybe if I change my mind, I can go. Johnny's is gonna start to get less crazy really soon. So if I needed to get something to have in the summer or in the fall, there's still going to be lots of time for me to be able to buy those things. And I have so much. I don't have to worry. I'm not gonna not be able to have a farm. But yeah, and then the other green that eventually I'd like to have, because it's a really good seller here, though it has the complications of spinach, is arugula. People really like arugula here in the Okanagan. Especially early in the season when it grows the best, but also when there's not a ton of variety. It's pretty much just greens is what is available. People like the arugula because it has such a pungent, distinct flavor compared to some of the other greens. So yeah. I would like to have that eventually. I'm just seeing what I have here. Yeah, and I like arugula too. I like it wilted. I like it you have a hot hot thing, and then you like put it on top like a pasta, and then you just like mix it in before you serve it. Okay, so herbs. We have herbs. I have some other herbs in the bottom in the smaller packs. I don't know why I should stop, but we grow herbs. They do not sell very well and they do not make me any money, but I really like having them. And then I justify it because once they get to the point that they're usually not very good for selling as a culinary herb, they start to be really great for me to use as a cut flour. But one of these, I'm going to have to rethink herbs one of these days, but today is not that day because I have a whole big bag of dill. This is bouquet. People, if I was going to do any herb, these would be the herbs that I do. Even after, getting rid of other stuff. So I have cilantro, and the cilantro I have is calypso. And then I have dill bouquet. People here want these herbs, and they want these herbs all season long. With the dill, people mostly want dill green, except for when it's like pickling season. And then they want flowers, but they also want the dill greens too. And then same like the cilantro, as soon as I can get it, people want it. And then we roll into the summer with all the tomatoes, the fresh salsas and everything. And people want the cilantro, as long as I can have it. I find cilantro is honestly, okay, I'll talk about growing the cilantro briefly after I talk about selling it. Tomatoes go super late because of what I was saying about us having like the heat still in September. So we have really, really excellent tomatoes here in September. But kind of by the end of September, people aren't into cilantro anymore. It's like a summer flavor for most people. And by that time of year, people are kind of rolling into those like sage and, like heavier. Like people are now wanting to have like potatoes. People are now thinking about like cooking stuff. People are, end of September, people are like, give me some of that Swiss chard because I'm going to be cooking it. I'm going to start thinking more about cooking things. But yeah, so the cilantro, as early as I can have it is good, but I probably could fade it out. And same with the dill, right? Like by end of September, people are usually done with all of their pickling. And yet again, there's some people who use dill year round in their cooking, and like dill green especially. But yeah, even the dill green sales kind of fade out. I don't know. Like I'm gonna have to put some attention into growing, into how they sell. Like I like growing herbs, so I haven't thought about it, but I'm gonna have to think about it more because they take work, and if they're not making any money, then it makes sense to get rid of them. Because Ian doesn't like merchandising the herbs. Ian has a really hard time knowing how to put them out because you need to know that they're there, so they need a sign, but how many people are actually looking for it? So I don't know. I refuse to think about it this year. But so the one last thing I was saying earlier is I use them as cut flowers. So the dill, if I grow it as a green and then it goes to seed, the pretty yellow flowers, even if people aren't still using them for their pickling, I can use them as a filler in my cut flowers. So it's not like if I plant dill regularly and then I can't sell it and it goes to seed that I rip it out and it's garbage. It goes to seed and I pick it and I use it for flowers. So it still stays as a pretty high value crop even when it goes to seed. And same with cilantro. One of my favorite flower fillers this year was cilantro flowers. It makes this really pretty greenery, and it's a little bit tricky to like clean the stems, but it's very easy to pick because my trick for how to grow cilantro, because for the life of me, I personally don't like cilantro, but Ian loves it and I love Ian, so I grow him things. before we had the farm, I could not grow cilantro. It would just instantly, like, it would like have a leaf and then it would bolt. It would go to seed. Um, and so I was like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But now when I plant cilantro, what I do is I put it in my seeder and I like roll it out. Like I plant it and I plant it very, very dense, right? So it will actually grow up in the same way that I was saying the baby greens grow, right? It's like super tight together. And that's great for me because when I pick it to sell, I grab a handful, I cut it, and then I put the elastic on, right? So like I want it dense so I don't have to like slowly pick it here, pick it there. I'm literally just mowing it down like how you mow down the baby greens. And then I'm just always planting it so I always have some. Um and so once I started doing that, it actually started growing way, way better. And I think the reason why is because it's so dense, it's crowding in together and then shading the soil, and it's keeping the soil cooler. It's holding the moisture in, it's keeping the sun off. And that is making it so that it's not as hot in the ground, and then therefore it's not going to flower as quickly. So you know, if you are a home gardener, you know, you've been buying like a single seedling of cilantro and having no luck with it, maybe try getting a pack of seeds, you know, for the price. A pack of seeds of cilantro is probably the same price, and just plant, like, you know, just like sprinkle them on the ground, like have this big little patch of it, you know, and it might grow better for you. But still at the same time, you know, our like kind of, if we could teach beginner home gardeners one lesson from the farm, it would be the fact that you don't just plant it once. You keep planting, right? So here on the farm, we have lettuce all year long. The only way that's possible is that every 2 weeks we plant more lettuce, right? And so it's hard in the home garden, right? Because you're like, oh, like what? I plant one every week. But yeah, if you keep planting, you know, you eat a head of lettuce, you put a lettuce seed into the ground, is kind of the lettuce equivalent. But yeah, you have to keep planting these things, which is hard because it means in, you know, May 1st, when you go and you plant everything, you can't plant your entire garden. You have to have empty spots to then be able to plant something May 15th, and then another empty spot to plant something June 1st. So it's hard to do because it's hard to resist filling the garden. But if you can get into the pattern of it, it makes it a lot easier for eating regularly out of the garden. Um, yeah. So that's the cilantro trick. Okay, so I have this. I'm running out of time, so I'm probably not gonna get into my other packs, but this is a big pack. This is a cucumber. This is Tasty Green. This is the cucumber we grow on the farm for selling. This is our like number one selling cucumber. It's a long, skinny cucumber here. Powdery and downy mildew tolerant Japanese style 12 to 10 inch burpless cucumber, 60 days. This cucumber is so good. It tastes so good. And then the, you know, English cucumbers are kind of a pain in the butt to grow, and this isn't. This grows very, very easily. So I love this because it has all of the aesthetic and the appeal of an English cucumber while being super easy to grow and, like, you know, very healthy, happy plant. Yeah, $100, but there's 2,500 seeds in here. You know, I was saying, I was like, I don't remember, that is like too many. You know, I probably need 250 seeds a year. So I don't know why I bought a decade's worth of Tasty Green. I'm assuming that the next packet size down was, you know, like a 500 pack. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy the next size up, because for our seedling sale, if I want to grow cucumber this for our seedling sale, I'll have lots of seeds available. Also, some of these things are like me just being paranoid. You know, here's some perfect examples. These are summer squash, and I bought them all in like 500 seed size packs. Last year, as you guys know, the the things were crazy this time this time of year last year, and so I was like waiting on a bunch of seeds I didn't get because of all the COVID craziness. But I always have so many seeds, so I wasn't overly worried, so I had enough to like do my seedling sale, do a bunch of the stuff. So I planted every single cucumber seed I had on hand. I planted every single zucchini and summer squash seed that I had on hand, got it going in the greenhouse. Super happy. Yay. Can't wait for the seedling sale. Went to bed. The next morning, I woke up, opened up my greenhouse, and every single seed had been like dug up. Little mouse hands had come and like undug my seedlings that I'd planted and like taken the like tiny little seed and then like, eaten the inside out and like left the like husk. And it had gone through and had eaten like every seedling that I had. So like I had almost no cucumbers and almost no zucchinis available for my seedling sale last year because of this little mouse. And it wasn't like I could have just quickly ordered some more because craziness of COVID. So paranoia. I bought a lot of extra. My way that I got through that for the next things, I know that like I see about the sunflowers. I had issues with the sunflowers. They did it with the sunflowers, and I was about to plant my zinnias, and my zinnias are a larger seed too, and so I was super worried that they were going to eat my zinnias, and like I need like I had all these like zinnias. That's all I have for the cut flower farm. Like it's one thing to lose the like $20 I spent on the seed for the cucumbers, or I think they ate about $50 worth of seed. It was like, okay, whatever. But if they ate all of my production of cut flowers for the year, that'd be a lot of money. So, yeah, so I'm definitely, what I was saying, my trick. So what I did, because at that point I was out of space to do things inside, but I grabbed some racks. I have these like metal racks out into the greenhouse, and I set up the metal racks and I put all the trays on the rack. So there was nothing on the ground anymore. And also like, I'd heard like you can do it on tables, but even a table I'd be a little bit worried. Like those things, it's crazy what they can climb. But yeah, so when I did it on the metal rack, it being elevated from the ground, hard to get up. Yeah, Fatty. I know. I literally was tempted to like make Fatty sleep in the greenhouse when that happened. Make him work for his dinner. And Bo usually does a really good job. Bo is our like our farm worker cat. He gets the mice. But Bo sleeps inside all winter. He gets fat and lazy because he doesn't like the wet. And Bo stays inside. Like Bo doesn't go hunt at night. He hunts during the day. Because the thing that makes Bo the ultimate farm cat is he's like super paranoid and afraid of things. So like anything that startles him, he like runs inside. So I don't have to worry about him with like wild animals. Because I know that he'll run for safety instead of trying to fight a raccoon or something. And then he doesn't like to be outside at night. He'll go hunt like briefly, but then he spends the night inside. But yeah, so mice. But anyways, so this year 2,500 tasty green, which I don't need that many. So squash. So these are squash that, okay, so this is a sunburst, and this is, around here people call them patty pans. Yeah, the summer squash. Compact, open habit plants produce heavy yield of attractive, bright yellow fruit. I like this variety. I have a variety that I have from Johnny's. Johnny's doesn't carry Sunburst anymore because they carry something else that they say is better than Sunburst. I trust Johnny's, so obviously I instantly ordered that to try out. But I'm still going to do this because we grow a lot of zucchini and summer squashes. And then also people at the seedling sale love this. It's a little pricey. These seeds are like 10 cents a seed. So, that's getting a little expensive for my seedling sale because I sell these for The blocks are $2, but I'm going to be doing a deal where they're 20% off. Everything for the seedling sale is going to be 20% off this year if you buy it at the house. So that means like $1.60. I'll see. I have to run the numbers after as to if I make money. I know I make money as long as the seed is less than 10 cents on the $2 soil blocks. So I don't know. Well, I'll have to tell Ian he has to make my soil blocks very fast. And the mouse can't eat these. If the mouse eats them, then I definitely won't be making any money. Okay, and then the next one, this is my favorite ever, but apparently this is like only available from William Dam Seeds. Because I made a video like a year ago, like obsessing about how much I love this. It's Dima, and it's like a type of zucchini, like a gray zucchini, or here, new early high yielding virus tolerant Middle East type, tender pale green fruit. 35 days. That's my selling, the 35 days. I was like, there is no world that this is 35 days. It is 35 days. It is so early. It's crazy how early it is. And this is the best tasting zucchini I've ever had in my life. It's not lies. They didn't lie. I thought it was a lie because how could it be so fast? These things are amazing. And they're kind of weird. They're like short and fat. But like so tasty. These are so good. But yeah, they're not available. They're like, no one has them down in the States. Because I had like people like being like, I can't find it. And then people like, I finally found it, but you have to buy it like a kilogram at a time. But I haven't tried other Middle Eastern types because the 35 days, like Dima does the 35 days. But the other Middle Eastern types that I've seen advertised aren't being advertised as being that fast. But if you can get your hands on a Middle Eastern type, I'd say give it a try, even if it isn't the Dima, because for me, as much as I love how quick of a producer it is, it's the flavor. The flavor is like what really does it for me on the Dima. So I think it's that the Middle Eastern types have those distinct flavors. It's very creamy. It's very rich and creamy. We really like it. But it doesn't sell well. So seedling sale, people get it. I grow some because I love it. And then, we can have some to like give to people. But Ian's told me I'm not allowed to grow it because it's just too hard to sell. And then the other thing, this is Black Beauty zucchinis. This super classic. I do not grow this. This is purely for the seedling sale. But it's such a classic. Everyone really likes this locally. And it's good. Open pollinated variety producing dark green cylindrical fruits on large bush plants. 55 days. I have grown this. I was always happy with this until I knew there was better things. So that. What else do we? Oh, okay. I'm running out of time because it's almost here. But this is, let's see. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about my other zucchinis, and then I'm going to talk about these pole beans, and then I got to go. Okay, so these are the zucchinis that I grow on the farm. To sell. This is like what we sell. We make good money on these because we sell our zucchinis for $2 or 3 for $5. So I like zucchini and I like eating zucchini. So I have 2 varieties. The first variety is Parthenon hybrid organic. Perfect zucchini for urban gardeners and early spring covered culture. This one doesn't need pollinators. That's what it means. So the problem with zucchini is if you grow your zucchini in a tunnel, because zucchinis need hot weather to grow, right? When it's cold out, they don't grow. They aren't going to do anything. So I can stick them in my greenhouse and grow them. Amazing, right? But you need pollinators to get fruit on your zucchini. And if you have a closed up greenhouse early in the season, you're not going to get pollinators in there to be pollinating your fruit. And no farmer wants to go around and do like the trick of like sticking the flowers in the flowers to pollinate their zucchinis, because no one has time for that when they're trying to grow 100 zucchini plants. So this is a variety that doesn't need to be pollinated. It's like self-fertile. I don't know. I don't know the words. There's the word for it. It's this Parthenus blah blah blah. This. I don't know how to say this, but I don't know if it's focusing. Anyways, that's the word that you need to look for if you need something that doesn't need pollinators. And this is a great trick if you have zucchini, if you're struggling with zucchinis, because I used to always struggle with zucchinis because it was hard to get pollinators into the garden. So this is great. This is what I grow. I'm going to probably start this soon, like next week. Inside, I don't know if it is self-pollinating. I don't know if that's the right term for this, or just that, like, yeah, I don't know. I think because normally you have male and female flowers, and I think maybe they just only have like, what would be transvestite flowers. But I don't know. I've never looked it up. So I have no idea, guys. There's no science for me to share on that one, other than the fact it works. Yeah. So this is the one that I grow in the greenhouse for my first round of zucchini, because the sooner I can get zucchini, the sooner I can start making those sweet, sweet toonies. Here, so you guys, I'm Canadian. I think I have some in my pocket, because Americans always love this. I know you guys are mostly Americans. Oh no, I thought I had coins in my pocket. I was gonna show you guys our toonies, which is the most ridiculous money ever. Ugh. Because we have coins. Our smallest bill is okay. Apparently I only have a loonie in my pocket. I don't have a toonie in my pocket. But yes, we have coins. We don't have bills. So this is a dollar coin. So this is $1 in Canada, and it has a loon on it. So it's called a loonie. And then we, after having the loonie for like years and years, we got rid of our $2 bill and we released the toonie, which is called a toonie only because a loonie is called a loonie, and then putting like 2 in front of a loonie, but like a loonie's a loonie because there's a loon on it. I think we have like a polar bear, so like it should be like it should be a teddy or something if we're gonna go by the naming logic. But yeah, so that's how much we charge for zucchinis. We charge a toonie. But yeah, so if I get them early, I make good money. So that's why I have this, because every year I'm trying to get earlier and earlier, better production. So I'm excited yet again to try to do even better than I did last year. We had zucchinis before other people at the market, so we definitely did better last year than we did the first year, because the first year we just kind of had them at the same time. And then our main season one is Dunja, which is most disease resistant organic zucchini, very high early concentrated yields, 43 days. And this, no lies, 43 days, which is like a more reasonable number than 35. This is like a crazy fast producing zucchini. That's the reason why I like the 35 on the Dima is so crazy, because 43 is like good. Because like Black Beauty's 55. So the one thing about the Dunja is they do peter out a little bit. I find I get really good production on them for a month and a half, and then they kind of fizzle. So I have like a bigger pack here, because here's the plan. Like April 1st, I'm putting the greenhouse in with like a whole bed, like 50 of these, right? And then like May 1st, direct seeding into ground, the Dunjas. And then June 1st, I'm going to direct seed a second bed of the Dunjas. And then so if we're 45 days, and this went in May, so that means mid-June I'm going to start getting production on this, and then like June and all of July I'm going to get really good production on that May 1st bed. And then like mid-August they're going to kind of start to peter out, right? But like, at the same time that like this is petering out, I'm going to be in peak production on that bed that I planted in June 1st. So I can always like rip this out, in I could rip it out mid-August, perfect time to plant some kale seedlings, that will then take us through the fall, right? So I do succession plant my zucchinis. Okay, I'm hitting an hour, but I want to do one more thing. Ian's not hopping on the live feed to heckle me in the chat. So I do not do any moon pattern planting. I the moon stuff is like, like I plant according to the weather, right? I understand the idea of the moon planting. The moon planting is the same as the idea of like I plant my garden on the May long weekend at the end of May. It's like it's a time, it's like that it's this time during the year, but like, you know like I like my weather app, like my phone. Oh, I guess this is my phone. So like on my phone, I do not keep very many apps like on the front page. Like I try to keep it as like thinned down as possible. I got like my Facebook, I got my Instagram, I got my YouTube button, I got my internet button. I don't even keep my email on like my front page, but I have the like Kelowna weather, like the so I can like one button press to get like my weather page to pop open, and like I check it obsessively. And starting, not yet, because like I don't need to think about it yet, and I don't need to start making predictions, but I start at this point to start looking at the past 24 hours, right? Because I'm obsessively looking at the forecast, and the weather app that I use is the weather app that gives like it's the weather app that if every other weather app says it's going to be like sunny on the weekend, they'll say it's going to be rainy, right? I'm like, I don't want the aspirational weather app. I want like the pessimist weather app. So this is the one that's like gonna tell people bad news. And so I start, and also I refuse to look at if they're trying to give me any more than 5-day forecast, I don't trust them. I'm like, if you're trying to give me a 14-day forecast, like then you're not actually giving me good information. I don't trust you. So my weather app, 5 days, it's gonna tell me Saturday's rainy and miserable. That's the one I trust. And then what I do is I'm always looking. I'm like, what's the nighttime going to be? What's the daytime highs? Right? Because I'm trying to figure out when I can plant stuff. Because when I can plant stuff is when things will thrive because of the weather. And then the other thing that I'm always looking at, starting now, is what the past 24 hours is, right? Because the forecast is a prediction, right? So, but I also want to look at what the actual weather was, so that I can start to get a feel for how accurate the predictions are going to be, right? Because if the weather's being really weird, right? Like the 24 hours will tell me that, right? The 24 hours will be like, whoa, that was way off from what they were predicting. That means that there's probably a good chance that what they're predicting over the next couple days also has the chance of being way off, because there's some weird weather pattern going on. And then also, and this is like apparently a thing, I don't know if it's corrected, but apparently last year, because of COVID, weather predictions were really bad because of all the shutdowns, people weren't able to have as much weather information. So I don't know. I don't know how accurate the weather apps are going to be again this spring. I'm still like last year I put a lot of buffer on their predictions. Usually the predictions here are like, within a degree. For like when they say what the night's gonna be, they're usually very accurate. Obviously, like I said, no 14-day. Even 5-day, I'm like, I don't even look at that. I'm like, what's tomorrow? What's like the day after that? Um, but yeah, last year the predictions were like wildly inaccurate. They were like 3-4 degrees colder than what they were saying they were going to be. So I'm hopefully the weather's a little bit better. Hopefully at very least 2022 the weather will be back in the good old days, 2019, when the weather was accurate. Yeah. But yeah, farmers, we obsess about the weather. And so that's why like any of the those like pattern things, but like it's tech, right? Like the weather, I mean the fact that I'm saying I wish the weather was as good, the weather forecasting was as good as it was in 2019. Like we live in like an insane world. Our world is amazing, right? Like the way that I'm using the weather predictions to know when to plant my farm, that wouldn't have even been an option like probably a decade ago. The weather wouldn't have been as accurate as it is now. If the weather started to be very, very inaccurate into the future, probably my technique for knowing when to plant that I'd go for is I would get a soil thermometer, and then I would plant according to soil temperatures, because then that would be the most that would honestly probably be the most accurate way for me to know when to plant. But but yeah, like I mean, you think like even a thermometer, that's like something that's like so like we just take it for granted. But when like all these like planting by the moon things were invented, it wasn't like thermometers were a thing. It wasn't like, oh yeah, just like stick your soil thermometer in the ground to figure out if the soil's warm enough. Like we're so lucky. We're so lucky for all the knowledge that we have access to. Okay, I'm past my time, but I wanted to finish up on these pole beans. This is something that I'm like really excited about for this year. Here, I'm gonna hold the pictures up. Let's see. I have to cover my face or it'll never focus. So these are, I don't know. I need to see the front. This is Isabelle, tender, stringless, slender, French fancy type pods with excellent taste. White seeded, 55 days. So this is a pole bean, but like look at that picture. Like it looks like a beautiful bush bean. Which I didn't know was a thing. I don't know, like I don't know where I've been living. Apparently pole beans, apparently a lot of like the like fancy beans that we buy in the grocery store are actually pole beans. They're just not super common, in any seed catalog that I've ever, looked at. And then I kind of like never looked at beans ever again. So I'm really excited about this. Pole beans were one of those things what I really wanted was to get all these ones that people said were amazing, from Johnny's. Johnny has some like amazing sounding fancy style pole beans, but they were all like crazy sold out. They were so like instantly sold out, and I think that they had like stock issues on pole beans for this year. I think that was like something that they said that there was going to be limited stock. But yeah, in the future, I definitely like this is going to be my test. And then so this is the other one. And this looks like exactly what I think a pole bean looks like. And so I don't know. People really wanted to buy beans from me. I really did not want to sell beans to anyone because I did not want to be like down, like trying to pick these like little bush bean plants, like pain in the butt. Get like a basket, and the person's like, I'll give you $1 for that. And I'm like, oh, I broke my back. It's the same reason why I don't want to sell strawberries, even though I can get like $5 for a basket of strawberries. It's just like so much work. There's just not enough hours in the day. So I didn't do beans, and I was like, I'm never gonna do beans. But then all these other farmers were like, pole beans, and I have these trellises that are set up that I've never taken down because I'm too lazy. And I've grown tomatoes on them twice, 2 years in a row, which is like probably not ideal. So I was like, I cannot grow tomatoes here ever again. But if I buy pole beans, I can grow pole beans there, and then I don't have to take these trellises down. So this is a little bit me being like, okay, I got these trellises. Like I'll put the pole beans on them. I'll do this experiment. I'll see if I can like quickly do this. So the person who's going to be working with us is she's a friend of ours, and she was working on a farm last year, and so she was like giving me some details about like, they were trying this on the farm, and they were doing beans, and she's giving me her numbers because she's like insane how fast and like amazing of a worker is. She's like way more efficient than I am, like twice. She's like double triple my speed. And I'm like, there's no world that beans make sense. People are like bleeding money on beans. And she was like, well, I was like picking this much an hour, and then it's like, okay, well, you know what? Like, because people will pay for them here, and they're hard to find, right? At the farmer's market, people don't have, it's not like easy to find beans at the market, so you can charge a premium for them. But yeah, so I was like, maybe it makes sense. She kind of convinced me that there was some logic to beans. But I think they have to be pole beans. I think that like they can't be bush beans. No one's like bending over for beans. Too much work. So it has to be these pole beans. So we're gonna give it a try. But yeah, this one I was like, oh, I see someone saying my name. Is that Ian? Is he on here to heckle me? Because I am over my time. Okay, so this one, so I want them to be fancy because I know this is what my customer wants. This is when my customer tells me I want to buy beans, they want this. They do not want pole beans, right? And when I bring this to sell them this, I'm not going to be like pole beans. I'm going to be like beans. And no one's going to know the difference because they're going to taste exactly like what they think a bean tastes like. But this, this is like what a pole bean looks like. This is like, and I've grown pole beans because we used to grow a purple, like peacock, maybe was the name of it. It was like a purple pole bean. They're super, super pretty. And dragon's tongue is a bush bean, or else I'd be growing it because they're really good. But yeah, so purple peacock, I think that's the name. Super beautiful. I grew it because it was beautiful. I ate it because I eat anything. I eat garbage. But it was garbage. There's like no world that anyone would pay money for those. They were gross. And like they were gross if you picked them as like babies too. Like no one wants that. But so the description on this is flat, stringless, which I'm like, okay, like purple peacock was never stringless. And this definitely does not look like it's going to be stringless. These look like some big honkin' beans. 8-inch pole slicing bean has higher disease resistance and good flavor. And so the further description that they had for this in the catalog was that this was a chef, like this is like the chef's favorite. They were like, out of all, like in taste tests of all the beans that we've grown, like this was like the best flavored bean out of any bean. And like, this is like a specialty bean that chefs are like going crazy for, and fair enough, like chefs want different things, right? They, especially flavor, like fancy restaurants, because they're like, oh, you ordered beans, here's the beans, like you get it served. And so they're chopping these up, they're making them beautiful, they're making them fancy. So I don't know, I'm like, I've had bad experiences with flavor on pole beans. but they're saying this is like gonna be like super super flavorful. And then like, you know, they look cool. They're all like rippled and flat. So I don't know. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna see. People really want beans. They said they really want beans. So maybe they just have to like get what they can get, right? So if, like so I'm gonna do an entire trellis of this, and then I'm gonna do an entire trellis of this, right? They're both gonna go down to the market. I'm assuming this is gonna sell, and then this is gonna sit there, and maybe it'll sell because there's nothing else. And maybe they are. Maybe they are like insanely flavorful and delicious and beautiful, and everyone's gonna be like, I never knew this was the bean I needed in my life. But I kind of suspect it's gonna be a little bit like Dima, which is like the best tasting zucchini I've ever had, and it's like so amazing. And like I all day long at the market, I was like, you gotta buy this zucchini, it's so good. Like giving them away for free. And you know, 2 years later, people are still like, yeah, no, yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna like go for the green one. But we'll see. That's what it's all about, right? It's all about like doing these experiments, right? It you don't know until you try. I will say that on the farm, you don't want to do all experiments, right? If it's all experiments, that's how you sell nothing and have a really bad year. But you know, you figure out what works, right? You focus on what works, and then you keep trying a couple things, you know, every year, so that you can find those things that maybe you didn't know would work that actually do. You know, and it keeps it fun. Like, you know, I like, even if I lose money, I'm gonna be experimenting with things every year for the rest of my life. Yeah, 80% profit, 20% experiments. There you go. So I do have a bunch of other experiments in here that I'm really excited about, including my peppers. I have all these sweet peppers that I'm really excited to be trying for this year. And like, honestly, like there's so much. There's like so much still in that box. That was only the big things. I probably only got through like 30% of what's in there, but I do have to go. I do have to keep this reasonable. Because I have to go plant a million things. But we do have some really fun videos coming up. We have a farm tour that we 100% that I think we're gonna work on that a bit tonight. I have something that a collab with Nicole about filler flower, which I know, I think I talked about it last week, and I still haven't thought about it at all. And I really need to do that. And then we filmed something of like all the perennials that I got, because it's too good. It's too good to do like live, because I want to like maybe put up some pictures of what stuff looks like. So we have some stuff coming, and I'm hoping, even though it is starting to get crazy here, I'm hoping that maybe we can get 2 videos out this week. But yeah, so thank you so much for joining, and next week we're gonna finish this order. Like, so next live, I'll go through everything. Yeah, thrillers, fillers, and spillers. That's funny. So next week I'll finish up what I have in there. And there's like, you know, most of the farm is still in there, as well as all the stuff for my seedling sale. It's gonna be exciting. So I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for hanging out. And sorry, Ian. Sorry it took longer than an hour. All right, see you guys.